Welcome back to the Canadian Muslim Youth Project Digital Stories. My name's Abdul and I'm the host of today's interview. I've been working with the Canadian Muslim Youth Project to bring to you the voices of Canadian Muslim youth directly from them and to understand their experiences and what it's like to walk through their shoes. Today we have with us Tuka, who's here to talk to us about what her experience has been like wearing the hijab in a Canadian context, the role that media has to play, and cultural influences on her experience as a Canadian Muslim youth. What has your experience been like being a visible Muslim, right? A lot of guys, for example, they don't wear hijab, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not obvious to the general Canadian community that they are Muslim unless they explicitly come out and say it. You know, there isn't really any identifying factor. Now for you, you wear hijab every single day. And so what is that experience like? How does that affect your faith?
Well, first of all, I think everyone knows that wearing hijab is not easy in Canada. Even if you're not like explicitly hate crimed, you're still going to get those like little microaggressions and little stares, like people move away from you in the elevator. Like these are things that hijabis experience on like a daily basis. That being said, though, I think it adds to my faith in that it's a struggle. And every morning when I wake up and I'm putting my hijab on in the mirror, I know that this is going to be the result. And yet I continue to do it because it's for the sake of Allah. If it were easy, you know, if it was just like, I'm like how, you know, we are back home, everyone's wearing hijab. So it's just like, it kind of solidifies my deen personally, because I know that I'm struggling in the path of Allah and I'm not trying to please any of these people. I'm not trying to cater to any of these societal standards. I'm just trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and at the end of the day. So me personally, I'm kind of almost glad that that happens, because otherwise there would be no struggle. There would be no jihad. Like I would just be like everyone else. And, you know, like the Prophet said, this deen is meant to be a strange religion. It's not meant to be like blend in with everybody else.
Do you feel that sometimes as Canadian Muslims, we westernize ourselves to fit into the Canadian culture?
Well, take the name Muhammad for an example. It's a beautiful name. It's the name of the Prophet ﷺ. And I think just to fit in, we have to sort of scrap that part of our identity and just say, oh, well, call me Mo. Like that to me just stabs me so hard in my heart, because it's like you're physically changing your name just to fit, you know, the Western standard. And it's like, that's a part of you. That's literally your name. Right? And that's just a small example, but 100%, like we shouldn't need to change any part of our identity when it comes to our name or, you know, things of like that are important to us, that belong to us. We shouldn't need to change that.
Do you feel that, you know, wearing the hijab, you have to, you know, make your mark or prove your inclusion or prove your place in Canadian society?
Yeah, definitely. I think that society as a whole has a preconceived notion towards hijabi women specifically, in that we're oppressed and that our voices are always silenced and that we are more reserved. So as a hijabi and with these notions, I feel myself, and I know a lot of my hijabi friends too, feel that we need to overcompensate always. So whenever there's, you know, a new interaction, you need to be extra friendly and extra bubbly so that, you know, they don't think that you're, you know, fitting that standard.
Do you think that media has any role to play in this?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, we're always, I guess, targeted, Muslims as a whole are always targeted to seem that the religion as a whole is this oppressive religion.
What do you think the media can do differently to represent you accurately as a Muslim youth?
Yeah, and I think you got it. Just representation, just accurate representation. And I think just generally, we need more Muslims to be in the media field overall, so that that accurate representation can actually be possible.
So one last question to ask you is that, let's say that you could go back to 6-year-old Tuka, who's just starting to really experience the world, right? Just starting to go to school, meet different kinds of people, just kind of, literally experience the world. What advice would you give her, knowing what you know now and experiencing what you've experienced? What would you tell her to navigate the next 10, 15 years of her life?
I think that a lot of people think that we have this responsibility to change the world or to change the people around us, which is great to have. And I used to think that as well. But I've come to realize that at the end of the day, you can't change anything other than yourself, right? So what advice I would give to myself as a 6-year-old, I would tell myself to better myself as an individual, be of the Prophet ﷺ's character, and try every day and strive for excellence in myself, and be hopeful that people will see that and reciprocate it, right? Rather than trying to change other people, change yourself for the better. Wake up better than you went to sleep the night before. Wake up as a better person, and just personal progression and personal excellence is what's going to change the world, honestly, because at the end of the day, you can't change anything. You can only change yourself. So when people see that, and hopefully, that it can influence everybody else.
Thank you for coming on to today's interview.
Thank you very much.